Hokage Unlimited enhancement every 60 days. Chapter 241 to 260. 241. Come to Ace. Humph. I just said that the Navy is definitely not at ease this time. His Royal Highness is very reasonable, you bastards from the Navy. Duke Inuarashi and Cat Viper shopkeeper said angrily. Otherwise, you think that the Navy might simply hand over the fruit of the shock, known as the strongest superhuman, to the pirates. Longcheng sneered, then his face turned cold, and said, the gang of Sub-Hyjin thought they were wearing justice and stood on the commanding heights of justice. On the surface, it is to maintain the security of the world, but in fact it is just a lackey used by the world government to exploit the weak. Whitebeard can become the strongest man in the world without the Junjun fruit. So there is no reason for the Navy to leave such a powerful force to the pirates and create trouble for themselves. The reason why the Navy found the Junjun fruit did not directly use it to increase its combat power, but chose to release it for competition. First, it didn't want to be criticized because it was too ugly, and secondly, it could take this opportunity to make pirates. Internal consumption, and finally reap the benefits of the fishermen. Nami is not only a navigator of the Straw Hat Pirates, she is proficient in meteorology and navigation, and is the perfect route for the Straw Hats. Many times she is also the strategist of the Straw Hats, and she can reveal the conspiracy of the Navy in one sentence. This is all due to her carefulness, intelligence, and calmness. Longcheng nodded secretly. Straw Hats have gone through trials and tribulations along the way and are constantly growing. Looking in the direction of the sunshine, the sea and the sky meet, and the blue waves are thousands of miles away. Under the calm sea, there are undercurrents surging. Whitebeard is dead, and the pirate world pattern has undergone great changes. Originally, the four emperors of the New World, the world government and its navy, Shichibukai, have always maintained a delicate balance. Strongest man, Whitebeard, died, one of the four emperors, positions was vacated, and a new change appeared in this balance. The red-haired pirates are unknown for the time being, and Longcheng has not met Shanks yet. But the ambitious Kaido and Charlotte Lingling join forces, and they are bound to get a share of Whitebeard's original territory. According to the timeline, the staffing of the Blackbeard pirates should be almost complete. I heard that Shiryu, the chief guard of the advanced city, has also joined the Blackbeard Tiki gang, causing a bloody storm in the New World. In his early years, Shiryu was sentenced to death sentence on probation and was imprisoned by Magellan in the Infinite Hell because of his bloodthirsty and often indiscriminate killing of prisoners. It seems that in order to rescue Jinpei, he broke through the Push City and came out. Thinking of this, Longcheng couldn't help but smile. His arrival disrupted the original timeline of this world, but it was also because of him that Shiryu escaped by accident. Due to fate, Shiryu still became Blackbeard's left and right arm as in the original book. Sure enough, the smells match each other. His Royal Highness, what did you say? Young Master, how should we arrange our next route and action plan? Duke Inuarashi and the shopkeeper Cat Viper looked at Longcheng, slightly absent-minded, and said in confusion. Nothing. Our next plan remains the same, to find the fruit of the shock, but before that. Longcheng looks at the lawn. Luffy had eaten and drank, and was lying on the lawn with a straw hat on his face, sleeping soundly. Hey, Luffy, what are you guys planning this time? Luffy slept soundly, didn't hear Longcheng's shout at all, and was still snoring there. It hurts. What are you doing, Nami? Brother Longcheng is asking you something. Apart from eating, it's just sleep. How about you look like a captain? Nami grabbed Luffy's ear and pulled it in front of Dragon City. Oops. It hurts to death, take it easy. Luffy wailed. Nami then let go of her hand, clapped her palms, and scolded, Big brother Longcheng has come here, you still sleep all day. I have to say that Miss Naomi is still very majestic in the Straw Hat Pirates, and sometimes even the captain can only be scolded. What's the matter? I'm just sleepy for a while. What's the matter, Big brother Longcheng? No, just I want to ask the purpose of your coming here. You guys are also looking for an opportunity to grab the shock fruit. Longcheng thought to himself, if the Straw Hats also wanted to take this opportunity to find the fruit of Junjun, then he and Luffy and the others would have a conflict of interest in this matter. After all, he also needs to shake the fruit to increase his combat power and prepare for the fight against Kaido and the Black Charcoal Orochi. Momonosuke had already returned to Wano with Kinemon, Kanjuro and Raizo, and he had to find a way to gather more power. Otherwise, with their existing strength, it is still not enough to shake the Beast Pirates. To mention the fact that the Beast Pirates and the pirates led the team to attack the Navy, it seems that there has been a tacit understanding. No, I'm here to find Ace. Luffy snapped his straw hat back and said with a smile. Longcheng suddenly realized that Ace was not escorted and publicly executed by the Navy for chasing Blackbeard, and he is fine now. That being said, Luffy and the Ace brothers have not seen each other for a while. Originally belonged to Whitebeard's Junjun fruit, which has an unusual meaning to his sons. To them, the Junjun fruit is like a relic of his father. It is very likely that Ace will also appear here, and Luffy is coming towards Ace. Philo reminds you, 3 things to read. 242. Let's go together. Second gear. Rubber. Machine gun. Luffy's skin was flushed red, his whole body was steaming with heat, and then he shouted loudly, and his fists like a machine gun violently slammed into Longcheng. Iron Cross. Coating. Luffy, who would open Gear 2 and 2 to deal with him as soon as he got up, Longcheng smiled. Then concentrate your strength, cross your arms in front of you, and use an infinitely strengthened iron arm cross, coating. Instant, the dark black armed color whose hardness level was strengthened by the system to reach the super hardness level covered Longcheng's arms and chest with domineering. Clap. Luffy's rubber fist hit Longcheng like a hail of bullets, but it didn't achieve the expected effect. At that time on the Judiciary Island, Luffy used to be the second speed rubber machine gun that exploded with full force to the so-called, the strongest 9 in history. Brook hit a decisive blow, defeated Rob Luki, and shattered the 9 unbeaten myth that had been teleported for 800 years. But when it hit Longcheng, it didn't seem to hurt at all. Tickle again. If that's all, it's a real disappointment. Longcheng clapped his arms and laughed. Damn, big brother Longcheng, look good. Armed color. Rubber. Rocket launcher. Luffy was as annoyed as if he had been stimulated by the rubber machine gun being blocked by Longcheng's understatement. I saw Luffy's arms suddenly stretched back dozens of meters to hundreds of meters long, and then paused slightly after stretching to the farthest distance. Then dark black domineering emerged, wrapping Luffy's fists. Luffy's arms and palms concentrated terrifying kinetic energy, made a sound of high-speed friction with the air, and bounced at the Dragon City in front of him at super high speed. A lot of progress. Longcheng showed a look of surprise, smiled faintly, and crossed his arms again on his chest. Then let me see how powerful your armed arrogance can be. Iron arm cross. Coating. Bang. With a loud noise, the entire sunshine was shaken violently by the huge impact of Luffy's blow, and a violent wave swayed outward with the sunshine as the center on the sea surface. The ships that followed were so thin that they were affected. What happened? It's the Straw Hat Boy and the boss of Dragon City. Why did they fight? It's too violent. The watchful eyes of the Straw Hats, Duke Inuarashi, Cat Viper, and Caesar Monet's 5 people who followed behind, Luffy seemed to disappear in place, and Luffy smashed his rubber rockets into the air. Zoro, Sanji, and the others all looked at each other and smiled. The last time they parted, each of them not only gradually mastered the 6 naval styles that Longcheng guided them, but also developed many novelties in battle after battle. Trick. Not only Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Robin and others have also begun to use their armament colors to strengthen their moves. Hey, I'm much stronger than before. Look down on me. Once he succeeded, Luffy grinned. Watching Longcheng being bombarded by Luffy, Duke Inuarashi and the shopkeeper of Cat Viper not only did not show a nervous look, but they had a calm look from beginning to end. Moonwalk. Shave. Sure enough, before Luffy was finished, the figure of Longcheng appeared behind Luffy like a ghost. Luffy, be careful. Captain. Luffy. Nami. Chopper. Usopp's eyes widened and exclaimed suddenly. Haha, even the Plague Queen can't hurt His Highness. How can you knock Your Highness down with one punch? These boys, it's still too early to be proud. Duke Inuarashi and Cat Viper shopkeeper said indifferently. So fast. Luffy's laughter stopped abruptly, and turned to be shocked, trying to turn around to resist the next attack of Longcheng. But it's still too late. It's too slow. Let me teach you what speed is. Point and shoot. Bang, 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 bang. One shot after another. After the system strengthens the finger gun with the electric flint effect, hundreds of times the finger gun shoots at Luffy in an instant. One shot is 100 shots. The short distance, coupled with the fact that Luffy was too proud and unprepared, there was no way to dodge, not to mention that the process of Longcheng appearing behind him and firing his gun, all happened in an instant. Luffy was shot without any suspense, and the air bullets shot from the fingertips of Dragon Castle shot from behind Luffy. PFF'd. Luffy's whole body was shot by this concentration. A powerful finger gun shot out of the deck, and the next moment he would fall into the sea. Luffy. Damn, is the gap with big brother Longcheng still that big? Zoro and Sanji's faces sank, and there was a sense of unwillingness. Come on with you guys. Let me see how much you've improved. Longcheng stretched out his hand and gestured towards the Straw Hat Gang, and smiled faintly. Devil's Foot first class ground meat. 3 swords and tiger hunting. At this time, Luffy, who was knocked into the air above the sea, also stretched his arms and grabbed onto the deck railing. Rubber rubber. Headbutt. Rao is Longcheng, and at this moment, he is also slightly moved. Since that's the case, 100,000 Tishang fist cannons. 243. Strange mood. A moment later, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Usopp, Chopper, Brook and Frankie were all lying on the deck. Yes, there is progress. Compared with the last time, this time you all have the strength to fight back. Longcheng smiled slightly and rubbed his slightly sore arm. With more than one enemy, after a fight with the Straw Hat Gang, the clothes on the upper body have been shattered by the sword energy of Zoro and Brook, revealing the muscles with perfect lines, and there are hoof prints left by Chopper on the back. At the beginning, Luffy was careless, and he didn't seriously fight with Longcheng. Longcheng played very easily. It wasn't until Longcheng threatened to let the Straw Hats go together, that Luffy, Zoro and the others' fighting spirit really aroused. The endless combination of strike techniques, combined with the 6 types of naval body techniques, the Straw Hats attacked him in almost all directions without dead ends, making Longcheng have to take it seriously. For a time, the wide sea was turbulent. If it weren't for the 10,000 Lee sunshine, the firmness of the ship was not normal, and the Dragon City and the Straw Hat group were all careful. Robinami and Duke Inuarashi were watching the battle on the edge of the deck. The shopkeeper of the Cat and Pit Viper all worry about whether the ship can withstand such a violent shock. There were even several times when Longcheng couldn't escape and was beaten out. But now the situation is even worse for the Straw Hats. Ha ha ha, sure enough, after so long, I thought I was much stronger, but I still couldn't beat big brother Longcheng. Luffy is big. Z slumped on the lawn, gasping for breath, and laughing happily with a tired but happy face. Hey, it looks like I'll be exercising more diligently. Zoro was sitting under the mast, his eyes a little unwilling. Big brother Longcheng is still too strong. But, so cool. Chopper was adored. Longcheng smiled, non-committal. He didn't use any strengthening moves like the absolute slash of the Lanjiao. This fight was initiated by Luffy to test his strength. Originally, I wanted to make Longcheng look at him with admiration, but I didn't expect that it would still be the same as last time, and everyone went up together and was not Longcheng's opponent. But at the same time, Longcheng also sighed inwardly. This time, I can intuitively feel that the Straw Hats are making progress, and they are also a little more serious. 4. Straw Hat Luffy's battle at this stage. The city also has a rough assessment. I heard that you made a lot of trouble on Judiciary Island not long ago, and defeated Rob Lucci of 9 inches. Asked while putting on the new clothes that Nami gave from the storage room. Rob Lucci, that guy. I was blown away. He. Having said this, Luffy smiled triumphantly. Robin smiled and looked tenderly at her. Mates. That is. On Judiciary Island, Luffy burned the flag of the world government in front of everyone. If your enemy is the world, then I am the enemy of the world. Was. This declaration that Luffy shouted loudly, let her release all the depression in her heart in an instant, and cried out her wish to live. Then you should also meet Moonlight Moria. Longcheng looked at Brook and couldn't help laughing. Judging from Brook's appearance, he should have just joined the Straw Hat Gang. Last time, he took Jinbe to the Terror Bark, subdued Moonlight Moria, forced Moria to agree to help him, and joined forces to deal with the Beast Kaido. Before leaving, Longcheng specially asked Moria not to conflict with the coming Straw Hat Gang. If there was a conflict, let him report his name. Sure enough, Luffy scratched his head and said, as soon as that guy saw us, he told us that he was your friend, Brother Longcheng. I don't think he's a good person because of his appearance, so I don't fully believe him, but he really didn't do anything to us. Longcheng nodded. He does know me, and I still need his help in the future. Sanji on the side, smoking a cigarette, shrugged and said, that seems to be true. Then we will move forward separately. I will continue to search for the island to the north, and you will circle counterclockwise to the south. Regarding the direction of travel, Longcheng and Nami have already discussed. What Longcheng did not expect was that Nami even had a detailed partial map of such a remote sea area, and the geographic information marked on it was much more detailed than the drawings published by the Navy. And Nami also deliberately measured and analyzed the specific coordinates where they are now, although there will inevitably be a little deviation, but it is also inseparable. Nami's sailing skills, Longcheng is enough to trust. I will inform you when I meet Ace, and I will ask you for the fruit of the shock. Holding the pointer Nami gave him, Longcheng said goodbye to the Straw Hats. Remember, if you encounter Blackbeard, don't rush it. Before returning to the ship behind with Duke Inuarashi and the shopkeeper Cat Viper, Longcheng did not forget to instruct him. Because Blackbeard is the one who is most likely to go all out to seize the Junjun fruit. In the original book, it was Blackbeard who captured Whitebeard's Junjun fruit in the war on the top and reaped the benefits of the fishermen. Nami looked at Longcheng the back of leaving, as if suddenly thinking of something. His cheeks were slightly red, and a strange emotion rose in his heart. Phailu reminds you. 3 things to read. 244. Seeing the color domineering, improve. Longcheng sighed. He flipped the pointer in his hand, and there was still Nami's faint body fragrance on it. Putting the pointer in his pocket, he didn't think much about it. He used the moonwalk and went straight back to the boat. Afterwards, Duke Inuarashi and shopkeeper Cat Viper also jumped from the deck of the Sunshine to the rear, and jumped directly into the air to the captured naval warship. Turn the rudder and go northwest. Without saying much, Longcheng ordered directly. With the pointer given by Nami to indicate the direction, and the more detailed and specific local map drawings measured and drawn by Nami, Longcheng no longer has to worry about getting lost here. Yes, Dragon City boss. Caesar was in charge of the drudgery at the helm, and when he saw Longcheng with a serious expression, he naturally did not dare to have any opinion. Now what Longcheng says, he does what he does. After all, the bloodline factor map that made him dream day and night is in Longcheng's hands. Of Doflamingo, and the plagued Quinn, who was under the command of Kaido, also made him feel terrified. Open black lens bracket cooling time is over. Close black lens bracket the system prompt suddenly sounded. Oh, it's been 60 days. Knew it, 60 days had passed since the last time the system strengthened the iron block and armed with domineering. Dragon City once again has an opportunity for infinite enhancement. According to one round of infinite enhancement of the system, there are 5 skill enhancements and 1 golden organ enhancement to calculate. This round of enhancement still has 1 ordinary skill enhancement. That is to say, after this infinite strengthening, a new round of infinite strengthening begins. Dragon City opens the panel and sees the skill bar that can be enhanced. The skills that can be strengthened, now only the last type of Navy 6 types, paper painting, is left. 1 item. It's been a long time since I learned new skills, so there's only one last piece of paper painting left. Looks like it's time to start mastering other skills. But don't think about it so much. The comprehensive application of the strengthening skills that Longcheng has now mastered can almost be a head-to-head confrontation with a Navy admiral. Although there is still a certain gap between the admirals Kizaru, Akainu, and Aokiji, the current strength of Longcheng is enough to protect themselves and escape in front of them. Even last time, in order to attract Kaido and Aunt Lingling's hatred to the Navy, Dragon City pretended to be one of the 7 seas, and mixed Quinn and Von Cly, who imitated a nun, among the captured pirates and handed it over to the Navy. Even if you set up an ambush at the same time with Kizaru, you won't be able to leave the Dragon City. Especially since the last time he strengthened the iron block and the weapon color, he was even able to punch the old hero Garp head-on. You must know that Luffy's grandfather Garp did not rely on any fruit ability. Zhang Kongquan forced Roger into a corner several times, known as Tekken Garp. Exclamation mark. A pair of iron fists are powerful enough to crack the red soil continent. Enhanced paper painting. Without thinking about it, Longcheng directly issued an order. Looking at the system panel, Longcheng has some expectations. Last time I strengthened the iron block, I inadvertently strengthened the domineering of the armed color, and obtained the infinite domineering and super hardness. Both effects were purely unexpected surprises. Originally, 3-color domineering is the potential power possessed by all humans in the pirate world, and this power is an innate ability. Imposing, murderous, fighting spirit. When people can manipulate these invisible feelings, willpower can be turned into a weapon, and this powerful willpower is called domineering. It is precisely because this kind of domineering is an innate part of the body, so the system determines that domineering cannot be used as a skill enhancement. And paper painting skills in the 6 naval styles are similar to the domineering of the armed color and the domineering of the seen and heard. Therefore, the last time the iron skill was upgraded to a complete armed domineering under the strengthening of the system, the essence has changed, and then the armed domineering has been strengthened logically. Therefore, according to Longcheng's inference, this time the enhancement of paper painting is very likely to be it can produce the same effect and help him master the domineering power of knowledge. After mastering the domineering power of knowledge, what kind of surprising effect will be obtained? Longcheng can't help but be a little excited. The goal of infinite reinforcement, skill paper painting. As the host confirmed, yes. Open black lens bracket enhancement completed. Close black lens bracket enhancement was completed in an instant, and Longcheng couldn't wait to open the skill panel. Dragon City, strengthened organs. Heart, liver strengthened skills. Monkey stealing peach hope. Bing D, orchid, Gatling, Dilly, Ju Chao, multiply 10, super Gatling, super cannon, circular Gatling, black dragon sea flowing over shoulder, waves, iron wall cross, 6 body, coating the paper painted experience and domineering can strengthen skills. Without clicking on the detailed introduction of the experience and domineering, Longcheng can't help but be overjoyed. Absolute field, predict the future. Great. 245. Lao Su opened a perspective hanging. Longcheng excitedly looked at the detailed introduction to the arrogance he had mastered in the system panel. Domineering, as the name suggests, is to be able to strongly perceive the voice of the other party's arrogance. Once you have the arrogance of seeing and hearing, you can make the user's 5 senses become super sensitive, used to predict the opponent's next instant attack and avoid it in time. And this is just the most basic function of the domineering. Besides, there are 4 kinds of arrogance known to Longcheng. The first type is the perceptual type, the domineering. Perceived, seen, domineering, can make people hear the voices of other creatures, including people's voices, that is, psychology and activities. For example, Princess Otoji of Fishman Island had this kind of perception, and could hear the voices of the people. According to Longchung's memories of the original work, although Luffy didn't understand the dragon language when he met the Millennium Dragon, Luffy was able to understand the inner words of Grandpa Long. There are even more rumors that the arrogance of the Pirate King Roger was also perceptual. But the trigger of this kind of perceptual arrogance is based on the premise of mutual trust and mutual exchange of minds between the two parties. Princess Otahime was deeply loved and trusted by the people of Fishman Island, so she was able to hear the voices of the people. The second type, the range class, is domineering. This special sight color is different from the perceptual sight color, and has the characteristics of large range and wide coverage, which can make people able to read the position and number of enemies outside the field of vision. For example, what Eileen Road has in the Sky Island is a range-like sight and a domineering look. Analu claims to be God. Often turn on the domineering look and feel to cover half of the empty island, in order to supervise the residents on the island, and control the words and deeds of these islanders. With this kind of domineering look, you can read the enemy's position at any time, similar to reconnaissance effect. However, the range that this kind of seeing and hearing color can cover is also limited by the user's psychological factors. The deeper the level of cultivation, the stronger the willpower, and the wider the range that can be covered. The third type is the domineering look of the perspective type. Longchung remembers this kind of sight, and only knows that only the ant has it. Ant can see through objects and see what's inside clearly. In the original book, the ant once used this ability to see the appearance and expression of the Straw Hats and Becky hiding in the castle. Fourth type, the prediction class, is domineering. This kind of arrogance can be said to be quite easy to use. Ben's ability to predict the opponent's actions and avoid them in advance is the most basic usage. And the higher level is also the most difficult to use, predicting the future. This kind of realm of predicting the future is difficult to achieve. Even Roger's vice captain, Hades Rayleigh, used seeing and domineering to even predict the future. Even, _ The two characters were previously predicted by the second son of Auntie, Charlotte Katakuri, the head of the 3 desert generals of the pirate group, that Longchung would go to Totland to rescue Momonosuke and become Owen's Dragon City. Will be seen through the identity, and besieged by the brilliant mirror fruit. It can be said that although the arrogance of seeing and hearing is not an offensive means, it is only the arrogance of auxiliary functions. However, among the 3 color domineering, the knowledge color domineering has the most abundant functions, and can provide unexpected help at certain times. Everyone's experience is domineering, and according to their own needs, the direction of development is different. And Longchung's experience, which has been infinitely strengthened by the system, covers almost all functions. Even with Longchung's concentration, he couldn't help but be overjoyed when he saw the domineering enhancement effect of his own. The first enhancement effect, absolute field. Longchung can turn on the domineering arrogance of seeing and hearing, and instantly extend his consciousness by 20 kilometers. With Dragon City as the center, within a radius of 20 kilometers, whether it is in the sky or in the sea, no matter how far apart. Mountains and islands, you don't need to observe with the naked eye like other people, everything will be immediately appeared in his mind. Small a voice, a word, or even the slightest disturbance, Longchung can instantly grasp it. And within this range, he can see through all objects. This range is called the absolute field by the system. Longchung couldn't help but try this ability immediately. Shen when I calmed down, a mysterious feeling immediately appeared. Present your heart. In his mind started from his position and extended towards the rear. He saw Duke Inuarashi on the deck, Cat Viper, Brock, Brother Caribou, Caesar at the helm, Monet, the calm sea, the sunshine. Perspective. Longchung had a bold idea in his mind. Try it. So Longchung's eyes through the deck of the sunshine and enter the girl's room on the second floor. I can. In Longcheng's mind successfully passed through the layers of partitions and saw the arrangement in one of the rooms. Dressers, beds, closets, treasure chests, and dazzling nautical drawings hanging on the walls. Nami was standing under the wall carefully examining the blueprint, showing a thoughtful look. Can you see through? Longcheng concentrated, so the denim hot pants and top on Nami also disappeared. PFF'd. It's really pink. 2 blood columns, poof. Suddenly, Longcheng gushed out from his nostrils. Duke Inuarashi and the shopkeeper Cat Viper immediately ran to Longcheng's side with nervous expressions on their faces. Your Highness, what's the matter with you? Young master, are you all right? Nima, the system really gave Laosu a perspective. Filu reminds you, 3 things to read. 246. Mind reading, I will be too. Longcheng did not continue to see through. First, I think it's a bit shameless to look at it like this. Second, Nima can only see what use Longcheng has always had the attitude of trying, to see how good his domineering perspective can be. When Longcheng boarded the Sunshine, when Sanji was kicked over by Nami, he happened to see something he shouldn't see from an indescribable angle. Originally, Longcheng wouldn't suddenly be curious about this kind of thing, but the bad thing is that Sanji Kwang sprayed a nosebleed and even said the color. This made Longcheng a little curious. You won't be curious about things you've never heard of, but you'll have the urge to spy on things you don't know much about. Anyway, it's a test to try anything. Since Sanji has seen it, it won't be too much to look at it for himself, so Longcheng put the target on Nami. Longcheng's abdomen immediately rose with an evil fire. Since Xianglin and the others in the Naruto world have grown old, Longcheng has traveled to this world to grow up again. According to his physical age, he is now 17 or 18, and the age is just when some aspects start to be impulsive. Longcheng shook his head and didn't think about it anymore. These things. He is a man with a bottom line, and he stops at the end. But after the attempt just now, even if he didn't continue to see through, he was convinced that he could continue to see, and he could even see the bones in the body, even down to every cell, and observe the molecular level world. As expected of the system. Sure enough, the bulls. Longcheng wiped his nosebleed, thinking that he would have lost blood if he didn't read it. It's okay, I'm just too immersed in my domineering practice. A little blood surge. You don't need to worry about me, continue to pay attention to the islands that may appear on the waterway. Longcheng waved his hand, indicating that Duke Inuarashi and the shopkeeper of Cat Viper don't have to worry. With Absolute Realm. In fact, Longcheng can already detect a radius of 20 miles in a radius, and it is much more convenient to detect the island. If he wanted to, he could even extend it further, 30 miles, 40 miles. But the bigger the range, the more obscure and subtle the things that could be detected. Longcheng guessed that his ability would have such a limitation, or because he had no basis for seeing, and it was indirectly strengthened by paper painting. So that the domineering of the armed color can be maintained all year round to cover the whole body. This ability of Longcheng will consume his domineering, in a word, it is. If you use the absolute domain for a long time, Longcheng's spirit will feel tired. The longer the time, the more mentally exhausted. At Longcheng carefully, the explanation of the system panel also explains the range, accuracy, and perspective of the absolute field. The absolute field can exercise his own knowledge and domineering. The growth is very strong. With this ability, he can greatly enhance his overall planning and ability to the surrounding things. In addition, as long as Longcheng is willing, the voices of all creatures in the absolute domain can be heard by him, and there is no need to establish the level of public trust like Princess Itsuki. This is the difference after the system is infinitely strengthened. Longcheng then start trying to sense the voices around you. Damn, Guangyu Longcheng will send me some chores every day for me to do. When I find a chance to steal the bloodline factor map. Caesar was always in control of the direction of travel in front of the rudder, with an honest appearance, but he thought bitterly in his heart. At this time, a familiar voice suddenly sounded beside him. Oh, what if you steal it? If I steal it, I will. Dragon. Boss of Dragon City, when did you come here? Caesar turned his head to see Longcheng, who appeared silently behind him, and almost knelt down with his legs soft. How could Guangyu Longcheng hear it? Did I accidentally say something? Caesar's face was full of horror and nervousness. He thought to himself. Boss Longcheng, you heard it wrong. I didn't want to steal anything. Take your helm. Longcheng sneered, and then disappeared in place with a shave. He came only to tease Caesar, to frighten him. Hearing Caesar's voice, Longcheng appeared next to him, try to see if his mind-reading ability is really effective. After all, this mind-reading technique is also a mysterious thing. As for Caesar's little thought, Longcheng had seen through it long ago when he asked him to follow him. He doesn't need to care, and just thinks it's funny. Mind-reading, I can too. Idiot. This was the voice of Monet, who was at the helm with Caesar. Jia he. With such a big tree as Guangyu Dragon City, there will definitely be a lot of benefits. When they find the Junjun fruit, I'll find a way to grab it while the chaos is there and give it to Kribu to eat. At that time, the two of us will be the strongest man in this sea, and the whole world will know my brother Caribou. Name. This is Caribou's voice. It seems that this is a really useful ability. With this ability, as long as he wants to know, he can clearly understand anyone's thoughts. Chapter 247. Predict the future. In the absolute domain of Longcheng, Longcheng has absolute control over the information of all things. And the second enhancement effect of the domineering, the system is named Predict the Future. See the detailed introduction of the system panel about predicting the future. Longcheng can't help but feel happy. In this world, only Charlotte Katakuri is known to have cultivated the ability to predict the future to the extreme, and can predict the future. When he went to Torrent to rescue Momonosuke, Katakuri was foreseeing the invasion of Longcheng, thus seeing through the myriad aspects of the nine-tailed fox, the phantom beast species of Longcheng. And it is very likely that Katakuri also foresaw that Raiho would easily escape from him with Momonosuke by means of moonwalk and shaved. At that time, Longcheng was yearning for Katakuri's ability to predict the future. However, Katakuri's ability to predict the future is also limited, that is, it can only predict the future in a short time. Example, when Katakuri predicted that Dragon City would save Momonosuke, Dragon City had already invaded the interior of Torrent. And predicting the future of something, if someone knows the established trajectory of the development of this thing and intervenes, then the predicted future may change. If no one knows the future and intervenes, then things will develop according to the established trajectory. For example, even if Katakuri knew that Raiho would save Momonosuke, Katakuri had not arrived at the library at that time, so it did not change the fact that Raiho released Momonosuke from the book. However, Katakuri knew that Dragon City would use Yubu and Shouta escaped directly, and intervened in time, allowing Charlotte Bully to use the ability of the mirror fruit to create a mirror space to besiege Dragon City. Even if Longcheng escaped in the end, it has changed the fact that Longcheng can easily escape to a certain extent. However, Longcheng's predictive ability, which has been infinitely strengthened by the system, is different. He can predict that 3 days later he will the future of people and things around you. If Longcheng wants to know something, a certain person's future, he only needs to think of this person and trigger the domineering prophecy effect, then he can see everything that happened from this moment until 72 hours later. And this process is just like watching flowers on a horse. All the pictures are naturally presented in Longcheng's mind like a memory, so that Longcheng can accept all the information in an instant, and it will not cost Longcheng how much time. In a day's time, if something good happens, it will be enough to make Longcheng change a lot of things. But this ability is also limited, that is, once Longcheng uses this, it will immediately exhausted the mental power needed to be domineering. After 3 days, you can gradually recover and use this ability again. And within 3 days, Longcheng will not be able to use all the uses of the domineering. Is there such a restriction? Longcheng frowned slightly and closed the system viewing panel in his mind. However, this is also within the expected range of Longcheng. After all, his domineering arrogance is generated out of thin air by the system through strengthening paper painting. These strengthening effects of him are also generated out of thin air, not obtained by the system directly strengthening the experience in domineering. Besides, domineering itself does not belong to the category of skills, and cannot be directly strengthened. To be able to have such an effect, Longcheng is already satisfied. Compared with the huge benefits brought by the absolute field that Longcheng can master and the ability to predict the future, this limitation is completely within the acceptable range of Longcheng. However, in the future, this ability to predict the future needs to be reasonably arranged and used according to the situation. Dragon City will not use this ability unless necessary. Very good. Longcheng nodded with satisfaction. This time the system has been strengthened infinitely, which is a great gain for him. Well, from now on, the system will officially enter the next round of strengthening. But I have no skills to strengthen. What will I strengthen next time? Golden reinforcement. Longcheng shook his head. He has not yet decided what organ to strengthen, and he does not know what effect will be obtained after strengthening. The opportunity to strengthen gold is more precious and needs to be used well and used only when needed. Before Longcheng went to push the city to rescue Jinping, who was captured by Aokiji, when he confronted Magellan for the first time, he suffered a big loss. Although it is said that Magellan also took a punch from him, 100,000 watts and 10, and both were injured. But that time when the Dragon City was hit by Magellan's poisonous gas, it was not easy at all. At that time, Longcheng almost thought that his adventure in the world of pirates was over. Fortunately, the system happened to have a gold enhancement at that time, and the system's autonomous program was activated, strengthening the liver for him, removing the blood from the whole body, the toxins produced by the Magellan poisonous fruit in the organs, and giving him the ability to completely immune to poisons. It is precisely because of this that the golden enhancement of the system saved his life at a critical moment, which made him able to defeat Magellan in seconds, break through the siege with Jinping, and escape from the advancing city. Opportunity. Longcheng decided to put it aside and consider the enhancement of ordinary skills first. Phailu reminds you. 3 things to read. 248. The Second Island. Longcheng has the ability to see the absolute field of sex, and he knows everything within a radius of 20 kilometers. 4. Longcheng, who is looking for the shaking fruit in this area, this ability can be said to be very timely. But within these 20 kilometers, there is still nothing except the warship where Longcheng is located and the sunshine that sailed for several kilometers in the opposite direction. Mention islands. I didn't even see the shadow of a pirate ship. This area is really big. Longcheng roughly estimated where he was now. According to the nautical map obtained from Nami, the geographic information marked on it is more detailed than the drawings published by the Navy. On this nautical map, the coordinates of 7 known islands have been marked by Nami. Just that this nautical map, according to Nami, is collected from various nautical atlases, and the accuracy cannot be completely guaranteed, but there will not be too much deviation. And this map is not complete, and the locations of the 13 islands are not recorded on it. The next place that Longcheng is going to now is a small island in the northwest of the map. He intends to sail along the northwest edge in a clockwise direction around the sea area of the 13 islands announced by the Navy. The Straw Hat Luffy and his gang followed his advice and sailed counterclockwise, so they could finally meet in the east. During the period, if which side finds the Junjun fruit first, or encounters Ace, they can use the phone bug to contact each other's location. In this way, Longcheng can save a lot of time and win the Junjun fruit as soon as possible. With the absolute domain of domineering and domineering, Longguang City has a great advantage in finding Junjun fruit. As for the other 6 islands, even the map given by Nami is not on the map. Longcheng can only explore by himself. According to Longcheng's judgment, they still have about half a day's flight from their next destination. Duke Inuarashi. What are your orders, Your Highness? To the northwest, full speed ahead. Longcheng ordered. Yes, Your Highness. After half a day, night has come. Almost there. Longcheng looked at the sky and said. Pushing at their speed, they should be almost close to the island. Then Longcheng displayed his domineering arrogance and opened up his absolute domain. The whole picture of a small island appeared in Longcheng's mind. There are several pirate sailboats moored on the coast of this island. And there are 3 sailboats in these ships, and the flags of the pirates are hanging on the masts. In addition, there are several signs of the pirate sailboats. Longcheng can't tell them apart, they should be just some small fish and shrimps. The Big Mom pirates didn't expect to meet them so soon. It's just that there is no sign of the Queen's chant in these ships. It seems that there are only some cadres here. Longcheng secretly said in his heart. At this time, Duke Inuarashi and the shopkeeper of Cat Viper walked quickly to Longcheng, and the shopkeeper of Cat Viper was holding a pair of small observation mirrors. His Royal Highness, we observed an island in the distance, it should be the one we are looking for. But there are a few boats on the coast, and it looks like someone got there before us. Duke Inuarashi was the first to report. There are flags of several ships, which look a lot like the flags of the Big Mom pirates. But it's dark now, so I can't see it clearly, and it may just be wrong. Shopkeeper of Cat Viper has a serious face. He has not yet found the Junjun fruit. If he encounters the people of the Big Mom pirates so soon, it will be a little troublesome. Longcheng looked calm, and said lightly, You are not mistaken, that is the cadre ship of the anti-pirates, and I have just seen it. Really? Duke Inuarashi and the shopkeeper Cat Viper were both slightly taken aback, looked at each other, and both saw the heaviness in each other's eyes. Pirates, one of the 4 emperors, the young master just broke into the opponent's base camp torrent and brought Momonosuke out not long ago. Longcheng asked Feng Kele to use the imitation fruit ability to transform into a nun and mix with the pirates who were escorted to the navy, successfully attracting the hatred of the ant to the navy. The purpose is to let the ant fill up her hatred for the navy and lead the main force to attack the navy. In this way, the combat power left behind by Totland will be relatively empty, and Dragon City will be able to take advantage of the emptiness to enter. Let an outsider blatantly break into the base camp, injuring Katakuri and Bray, the first of the 3 desert generals, and successfully took away the collectibles by the ant. Momonosuke must have made Auntie extremely angry afterwards. What's more, it was also Longcheng who led Auntie out of the lair to attack the navy, and played the anti-pirates from top to bottom, losing their faces. The ant must therefore regard Longcheng as a thorn in the eyes and a thorn in the flesh. With the strength of Longcheng and the others, they are not enough to compete head-on with the ant who was the 4th emperor. This is where Duke Inuarashi and Cat Viper shopkeeper are most worried. Then Duke Inuarashi and the shopkeeper Cat Viper realized that something was wrong, and their faces were puzzled. 249. Ant is here too. Your Highness, you just said. You also saw that this place is several kilometers away from the island, how did you? I have mastered the arrogance of seeing and hearing, and I can see the ships clearly. Seeing a cat and a dog with puzzled faces, Longcheng smiled slightly. What? Hearing Longcheng's explanation, Duke Inuarashi's face was full of astonishment, as if this matter was even more surprising than seeing the ship of the Big Mom pirates appearing where they were going. Your Highness, when are you? Shopkeeper of the Cat and Viper was also stunned. When did the young master of Longcheng master the domineering arrogance of knowledge? Why did he never hear the young master say that most people master a new kind of domineering, and it takes a lot of time to comprehend and cultivate? But they didn't see when His Highness practiced. Just mastered it just now. Longcheng said lightly, his tone was as usual as if he was eating and drinking. His Royal Highness is indeed talented. As expected of the heir to our Guangyu clan. After being stunned, the two quickly accepted the fact and were sincerely happy. After all, they have seen too many incredible things in His Royal Highness Longcheng. Every step of His Highness Longcheng's growth, they have seen every cat and dog in their eyes, and the growth in the past 2 years is the most amazing. No, be careful and pretend, It's all the system's fault. Longcheng thought helplessly. However, Longcheng waved his hand and brought the topic back to the island. Auntie's people are there, it will indeed be a little troublesome. What? Big Mom is here too. At this time, the three tongues next to Blake heard them talking and exclaimed. Don't be nervous, it's just a few officials from the Big Mom pirates. This small island will definitely be searched, and if the Junjun fruit is really on it's a big deal to fight them. Longcheng looked indifferent and comforted them. It's just a few cadres. You don't know about aunties. Cadres, they are all troublesome. It's just a few cadres. Couldn't help shouting frantically when he saw that Longcheng Deo and the Big Mom pirates were thinking of being hard-headed. He even regretted that he had begged Longcheng to let him follow him. Although Longcheng is very famous, how can it be compared with the real four emperors? He is with Longcheng to make a name for himself, not to seek death. At that time, Guangyu Longcheng and Ant have a confrontation. If let the Ant's people see that he is with Longcheng, and they will definitely not him. Guangyu Longcheng, this stupid guy, actually wants to directly confront the Ant. Asking to be by his side is the stupidest decision in my life. Caribou thought angrily in his heart, and even raised the idea of finding an opportunity to solve the Dragon City and escape before reaching the island. Caribou didn't know that Longcheng broke into Big Mom's home and rescued Momonosuke not long ago, and even the four emperors, Big Mom and Kaido, attacked the navy at the same time was planned by Longcheng, otherwise he would not think so. Yes, the boss of Longcheng. The Ant's sons and daughters are all powerful, and they are not good people. Be cautious. Secret thoughts in Caribou's heart. Blake's tone was obviously much more sincere, and he was really worried about this decision. Humph. Why, do you think I'm stupid? If anyone doesn't want to go, jump off the boat and leave. Longcheng snorted coldly and glanced at Caribou coldly, revealing his killing intent without. Who opened the Absolute Realm, knew exactly what was in the minds of Caribou and Brack. Caribou was shocked, how Guangyu Longcheng could see that it must be just a coincidence that he secretly scolded him in his heart. No, Small, how can you think that the boss of Longcheng is stupid? With your strength, you still need to be afraid several cadres of the Big Mom pirates. Caribou quickly retracted his disrespectful attitude and changed back to a flattering expression, but he was sneering in his heart, HMPH. I'll run away when I meet Auntie's people, and see how you die. If the Junjun fruit is really there, I will take the opportunity to grab the Junjun fruit and give it to Caribou to eat, and then we can also make a name for ourselves. Brock was frightened by the killing intent revealed by Longcheng, and apologized in horror. Longcheng boss. Small, there is absolutely no such idea, no matter. Where do you go, boss Longcheng? Shao, follow wherever you go. But the Big Mom pirates. Okay, stop talking, keep going. Longcheng commanded coldly. I'm too lazy to care about Caribou's thoughts. For Dragon City, no matter how much Caribou's tossing, he can't make any waves. Blake immediately fell silent and stopped talking. Caribou stepped aside with a gloomy expression on his face. Yes, Your Highness. Full speed ahead. Duke Inuarashi shouted to the two Caesar Monet at the helm. After a while, the Longcheng group dropped their anchor on the edge of the island. Instead of swaggeringly docking near the cadre ships of the Big Mom pirates, they detoured to the other side of the island to moor. Philo reminds you. 3 things to read. 250. About the Charlotte triplets, past. Longcheng took Duke Inuarashi and the shopkeeper Cat Viper, along with Caesar, Monet and the Caribou brothers, and got off the ship. As for the boat, it was enough to keep Brock alone to guard. It's useless to bring Blake out. When the time comes when Longcheng and Auntie's people meet, Blake's fighting power is not enough for them to stick between their teeth. People like Brack, Dragon City will be useful in the future. It turned out to be Owen, Smoothie and Lola. What a coincidence. Longcheng Shi opened the Absolute Domain and found that the cadres of the Big Mom pirates on this island were Charlotte Owen, Charlotte Smoggy and Charlotte Rala. When he went to Totland Cake Island to save Momonosuke before, he just became Charlotte Irwin, deceived Hormes who was patrolling the grandmother's palace, successfully infiltrated the library, and found Momonosuke. Auntie's fourth son, Charlotte Owen, is a Superman who has the power of hot fruit, and the Brown Minister who is in charge of one of the 34 islands. He is the triplet brother of Katakuri. This golden-orange hair, Owen, who has a three-bladed hairstyle like a flame, a beard on his chin, and a boxer look, is triplets with his third son, Daifuku, and the second son, Katakuri. Katakuri in his childhood was different from now. He used to be a cheerful boy who went his own way and possessed monster-like power since he was a child. His mouth has stitched traces, and the teeth are fangs. Even if his mouth is closed, 444 teeth will be exposed. Although Katakuri was always laughed at by other peers because of his strange appearance when he was a child, he didn't care about it. He felt that it was good to be himself. As long as someone laughed at him, he would directly beat him up. But then, those who were beaten for laughing at Katakuri, in retaliation for Katakuri, used a knife to cut a long cut in the face of Katakuri's sister Bray, causing Breillu to he left permanent scars and disfigured his face ever since. After Katakuri knew about this, he was extremely angry and blamed himself. His dear sister was bullied because of her, leaving permanent damage, and Katakuri avenged her sister Brie. This became a childhood injury for Katakuri and Bray. So from then on, Katakuri covered his mouth with a scarf, disguised himself as a perfect and powerful man in front of the world, and used his own strength to protect his beloved younger siblings. The triplets have been together since childhood with Big Mom's eldest son, Charlotte Perrault. On a scarf to cover the Katakuri. Once Katakuri and Daifuku, Owen and Big Brother Perospero enjoyed donuts together, Big Brother Perospero can directly cover the mouth of the Katakuri, saying that this does not hinder he made friends, but was rejected by Katakuri. The relationship between the four of them is very good. Who has a hot and aggressive temper and is extremely loyal to his family, has loved his younger sisters very much since he was a child, and he also trusts and respects his elder brother Katakuri the most. Owen will appear here, indicating that Big Mom led the pirates and the navy to stop the war, and Owen has returned to the Torrent Kingdom. Therefore, Owen must have learned from Katakuri that Dragon City has become his appearance and sneaked into Totland. That Katakuri was defeated by Longcheng, and Bray was also injured because of Longcheng. Longcheng knew that the hot-tempered Owen would definitely want to tear him apart. Like Katakuri, is also the 3 desserts of the pirates. 1. The strength should not be underestimated. As for Lola, Longcheng had only met once at the terrifying bark. He also gave her a favor, and asked her and Moonlight Moria to declare their names to get back their shadow. In Longcheng's pocket, there is also the life card that Lola personally gave him, and he also gave her the phone bug. Before leaving, Lola proposed to him. Thinking of this, Longcheng was a little bit dumbfounded. In fact, when approaching this island, with the ability of Dragon City's absolute domain, all the flowers and plants on the entire island can be seen in one's mind at once, and see from the inside out. Was so clear that I even looked at everything underground on the island. Not only are they digging 3 feet into the ground, the sights and sounds of Longcheng are domineering, as well as things at a depth of 20 kilometers underground, which can be clearly seen. Certain that there is no quake fruit on this island. But Longcheng still wants to come to this island to meet them for a while. Since they are all here, there is no need for Longcheng to bypass them. If there is any grievance between the two sides, even if they don't meet now, there will inevitably be a scuffle in the end. What's more, they are all here to compete for the fruit of Junjun, and it is impossible for Longcheng to let them go because of this conflict of interests. You have to fight sooner or later, so it's better to fight now. On the premise that there are only 3 cadres on this island, that Longcheng can be so reckless. If all the main forces of the Big Mom pirates came to compete for the Junjun fruit, with their current strength, Longcheng would of course choose to go around and avoid confrontation with them. However, Longcheng is not sure whether there are other cadres of the Big Mom pirates in this sea area, and they are divided into search for the fruit of Junjun. 251. Of course I came to fight. His Royal Highness, it's better for us to search for the Junjun fruit first, and try to avoid the eyes and eyes of the Big Mom pirates. It is best to find the Junjun fruit first without conflicting with them. Duke Inuarashi thought for a while and suggested to Longcheng. Big dog, aren't you stupid? Now you are on the same island as the anti-pirates. Haven't you seen those ships? There must be a lot of people on the other side, and one of them was discovered accidentally by the other side. Do you still think separate action? Collective action is at least a little more secure. Shopkeeper of the Cat and Pit Viper sneered and took the opportunity to mock Duke Inuarashi. The copyright of the novel resource belongs to the original author. The text is only for personal study and trial reading. Please delete it within 24 hours after downloading. Please support subscribing to Genuine Novels. No piracy. What did you stupid cat say? I think it's better to split up. Our goal is to find Junjun fruit. Split up to find it faster. If you are found by the other party, it means that you are not good enough. Being ridiculed by the shopkeeper Cat Viper, Duke Inuarashi's dog hair was about to explode, and he immediately countered. Silly dog, you have to figure out the situation. The other party is the 4 Emperor Ant Pirates. What if there are other cadres of Anti in the nearby sea area? If the other party finds out, it will attract other people to besiege and put the young master in danger. You and I are to blame. Shopkeeper of the Cat and Pit Viper did not show weakness. Looking at this posture, it was about to quarrel. At this time, Caribou's little abacus came out, and he said in the side, Longcheng boss, I also think it's better to split up. In case the fruit of the shock is really on this island, we have there is a greater probability to find the Junjun fruit first. Shut up. Duke Inuarashi and Cat Viper shopkeeper shouted to Caribou in unison. Caribou closed his mouth with a grim expression. His little abacus was naturally split up, which would make it easier for him to find the Junjun fruit. If you find it, let Kreb eat it immediately. If you can't find it, in case Guangyu Longcheng and those 2 silly cats and dogs have a conflict with the Big Mom pirates, they are not by Guangyu Longcheng's side, but they can also draw a line with Guangyu Longcheng in time and distance themselves from the relationship. Turn to the Big Mom pirates. Caesar is better. He is not interested in any shocking fruit, his interest is all on the bloodline factor map on Longcheng. In the current situation, he can only do what Longcheng tells him to do. As for Monet, he is not focused on collecting the movements of Dragon City, and his contacts with other forces, and when he has the opportunity, he will give feedback to Doflamingo, so as to regain the trust lost in Dressrosa's operation. If Monet did this as an undercover agent, Longcheng would be moved by Brother Doflamingo. It's just that Monet's chess piece may one day become Doflamingo's abandoned piece. Poor. Longcheng's mouth twitched slightly. What are these people thinking in their minds? What kind of shit are they pretending to be? Only Duke Inuarashi and shopkeeper Cat Viper are sincere and wholeheartedly considered for Dragon City. One is to think about reaching the goal of this action as soon as possible, so as to exit in time and avoid being passive. Of Longcheng. After all, one of the 4 emperors, Ant's flag is hanging not far away. Obviously, making noise has become the norm for these 2 retainers, 1 cat and 1 dog staring at each other with big eyes, as if you don't agree with me and I don't agree with you. After all, every time they quarreled, it was actually for the sake of Longcheng. All right, stop arguing. Longcheng interrupted them. Duke Inuarashi and Cat Viper shopkeeper immediately stopped, and a group of people also waited for Longcheng's decision. We don't have to look for Junjun fruit. Why? This time, it wasn't just Duke Inuarashi and the shopkeeper Cat Viper. Everyone was surprised and asked in unison. Why? Because there isn't one here. Longcheng shrugged and said. Without your highness, how do you know there is none here? Duke Inulin looked at Longcheng with a puzzled face, and everyone else was at a loss. Hey, I just told you guys, I have seen and heard domineering, and I know everything on this island like the back of the hand. How many? Trees, how many? Grasses, how many? Flowers, I have seen them all. There is no tremor fruit here. Longcheng said lightly. You mean it? Caesar was stunned. This is too fake. Young master said yes, that's it. Pitviper said firmly with his eyes, and even if it was unbelievable what the young master said, he believed it. Caribou sneered in his heart. This kid has been talking absurd things here all day, and he is so stupid as to believe it all. Even Monet looked suspicious. How could he have heard of such a, why, don't believe it? Longcheng suddenly smiled maliciously. Caesar, you are wearing gray. Monet, you are red today. Caribou, no. Longcheng's knowledge and domineering swept away, and revealed the privacy and secrets of these people. Wet Caribou, in this kind of thing, seems to be a little uninhibited. Monet's face flushed all of a sudden. You. Quote. Caesar and Caribou also had strange expressions on their faces, and now they had to believe it. Then your highness, since you know that there is no gen fruit here, why are we here? Duke Inuarashi didn't know what Longcheng was talking about with them, so he asked suspiciously. Why are you here to fight, of course? Philo reminds you. 3 things to read. 252. Goodbye Lola. Search the island for me inside and out, not a single grass can be spared. The other side of the island, Smoothie directed his subordinates to search for the fruit of the shock on the island. You guys, go here. You guys, go over there. Pay special attention to the jungle, the shock fruit may be hidden in an inconspicuous place by those bastards in the navy. Don't miss it. If the Junjun fruit is on this island, and you can't find it, then I will have full reason to doubt your ability. If you make such a low-level mistake, you will use your head melon seeds. Think how to apologize. Smoothie commanded the crew commandingly, with a natural awe of his tall stature. Yes. Yes. Under the order of Smoothie, the crew members all looked awe-inspiring, and they dispersed in an orderly manner, heading towards different directions of the island, rummaging for every suspicious place. Smoochie, so we can find it. This island is so big, we have to wait till daybreak. What if another pirate group comes to grab it? A sturdy body and a pink double braid tied on her head, she looked at Charlotte Ralla, who was somewhat honest, and moved her plump lips, and said worriedly. In case there are other pirates, let those boys find them slowly. If there are other pirates who dare to snatch the fruit from us, let them taste the taste of being cooked by me. On the other side, he crossed his arms in front of his chest, and one end. 3 blade-shaped golden orange-haired, burly Owen said with a look of disapproval. I'm here soon, I've never tried the taste of being roasted. As soon as Owen finished speaking, a voice came from the jungle not far away. Who? Smoothie stared at the figures in the jungle. It was dark at this time, and the light in the jungle was insufficient, so he couldn't see each other's appearance. A group of people walked out from inside. Saw a cat and a dog, 2 men and a woman, surrounded by a young boy with a calm expression, appeared in front of them. One of the men has dark purple hair, a face like a ghost, and there are decorations similar to horns on his head. Other man was tall and thin, with an odd shape and a long tongue from time to time, looking very sinister and cunning. And that woman, tall and slender, with golden yellow eyes and long wavy hair, looks very good looking, but the positions of the arms and legs are actually the wings and sharp claws of birds. Such a group of people with peculiar shapes, only the young teenager who was surrounded by them was normal looking and had a somewhat handsome temperament. Was none other than Guangyu Longcheng, Duke Inuarashi, Cat Viper, Caesar, Caribou, Monet. As soon as they came out, Owen immediately. Eyes rounded. The appearance of Guangyu Dragon City, even if it is turned into ashes, he recognizes it. Impersonating his identity and breaking into torrent, blatantly robbing his mother's treasures, he even dares to come to the door himself. Guangyu Dragon City. Owen's eyes almost burst into flames, and his 3-bladed golden orange hair fluttered like flames. Lola, who was on the side, showed a simple and honest smile when she saw Longcheng, and waved to Longcheng. Guangyu Longcheng, we meet again. I am Lola, do you remember me? Ignoring Owen's eyes that wanted to burn people to ashes, Longcheng smiled and greeted Lola. Remember, I didn't expect to meet you here. He is the one that Guangyu Longcheng broke into our torrent and stole things. Smoothie asked suspiciously. She didn't know much about Guangyu Longcheng, and she didn't pay special attention to the various achievements he had made before. I just know that there is such a number one person on the Great Route. When he was a newcomer, he dared to threaten the Tianlong people, and even killed the Tianlong people in front of the Admiral of the Navy. Later, there were some news about the Advanced City, the Battle of Marin Fando, and so on, but I had only heard about it in general, but I didn't pay attention to the appearance of Guangyu Dragon City. Yes, he is Guangyu Longcheng, Laura said happily. She also knew that torrent was broken into, but she didn't know that the person was Guangyu Longcheng. 4. Guangyu Longcheng's impression is a good person who has helped him a lot. Owen looked at Lola suspiciously, wondering how his sister recognized Guangyu Longcheng, and it seemed that his sister still it's good to be with this kid, stinky boy. How dare you find it? Don't say that you are also here to find Junjun fruit. The hot-tempered Owen said with a snort of heat in his nose and rounded his eyes. Longcheng looked disapproving and shrugged. I didn't come to find Junjun fruit, so are you still here to travel? How dare you come to find the Junjun fruit this time? All the pirates of the 3 emperors have sent people here. Do you think you can grab it? Even if you find the Junjun fruit, can you take it with you? Smoothie's face was gloomy. 4. Injuring Katakuri, the head of their Desert 3 generals, and also injuring Bray's Guangyu Longcheng. Many children of their ant pirates have regarded Guangyu Longcheng as a doomed enemy. 253. Fight with Owen. Humph. I don't know how high the world is. You blatantly broke into our Totland and stole something. We Totland have not settled with you on this matter, but you brought it to the door yourself. Owen frowned, and the more he looked at Guangyu Longcheng, the more he didn't like it. Stealing is not stealing. What I took away was something that didn't belong to Auntie. Longcheng's face sank when he heard the words, and the atmosphere between the two sides was tense for a while. Things that don't belong to Mother. You nonsense. In our Totland, there is nothing that does not belong to Mother. Owen retorted in a low voice. Humph. I went to your Totland, and I took my cousin, Kazuki Momonosuke. My aunt took my cousin and imprisoned him in the so-called library. I haven't done it yet. Discuss with you Totland. I rescued him. How can you call me a steal? Longcheng's tone was unceremonious, and he argued with reason. At this time, Owen was a little puzzled, turned his head and asked Smoothie, Smooch, have you heard that Torrent has a man named Kazuki Momonosuke? No. Smoothie shook his head. You are talking nonsense. The surname Kazuki Momonosuke is not our Totland at all. We can't let outsiders break into Totland. Mom won't take ordinary humans into the library. Owen suspected that what Kazuki Momonosuke was doing and what he was saving were just an excuse for Longcheng. Do you still remember that there was a peach-colored little dragon that was forcibly imprisoned as a treasure when your mother saw it? A peach-colored dragon. Owen thought for a moment. It seems that there is indeed one. What are you asking about this? Smoothie asked. That peach-colored little dragon was transformed by my cousin Momonosuke after eating a devil fruit, and was caught and imprisoned by you guys. Longcheng said coldly. This. Owen frowned. They went out to sea with Aunt Ma before, and they did encounter a peach-colored little dragon by chance. It looked rare and cute, and Mundo used the book fruit ability to collect it. So when they evacuated from the Navy to Totland, Mundor checked the library's holdings and it was true that the little dragon was missing. If that's the case, then it's their fault. I'm quite clear about right and wrong, since that's the case, the matter of taking that little dragon away is just revealed. But you tricked us into going to war with the Navy and wounded Katakuri and Bree, and that's a matter of course. Owen put down his crossed arms and clenched his fists slightly. Regarding Feng Kele's use of the imitation fruit to turn into a nun, and to lure the ant to lead many children to send troops to attack the Navy, it is all Longcheng's calculations. These things, the Navy has already told them. They believe in this fact, only Mother doesn't believe it. Playing them round and round, letting the Navy see Mother's jokes, and hurting dear brothers and sisters, it can't be left like this. Your Highness. Master. Duke Inuarashi and the shopkeeper Cat Viper showed worried expressions, one left and one right, guarding tightly in front of Longcheng. Caesar and Monet also looked serious. If they really fought, they would have to fight on the side of Guangyu Dragon City. Even if Caribou is full of bad water, he has nowhere to escape. The members of the Big Mom Pirates have already seen him following Longcheng. Brother, are you guys going to fight? Can you not? If it wasn't for Guangyu Longcheng to help me get my shadow back, I might still be trapped in Moonlight Moria. Lola asked nervously by the side. Owen turned to look at Laura, and if this was true, he might have to reconsider. Boy, you really helped my sister. It's easy to do, it can't be helped. Longcheng smiled slightly and said indifferently. Since that's the case, for the sake of your helping Lola, it's up to me to fight you. Beat me, you can leave. If you are defeated by me, then you will leave the Windless Belt on your own, and don't even think about taking part in Zhenjiangguo. Charlotte Owen stared at Longcheng, waiting for Longcheng's reaction. This fight is definitely going to be fought. He was wearing a pair of orange trousers, his upper body was naked, he wore only a cape and a pair of gloves. Unconsciously, everyone felt that the temperature of the surrounding air suddenly rose. Looking at Charlotte Irwin again, the muscles and skin all over the body became flushed red, with a slightly clenched fist with gloves, and a pair of fists became like red-hot iron blocks, extremely hot, and issued a hissing. The voice, braving, steaming heat. Your Highness, do you really want to fight? Owen is a hot fruit person, I am afraid it is very difficult. Duke Inuarashi and the shopkeeper Cat Viper showed solemn expressions and looked at Longcheng worriedly. Longcheng waved his hands to the two retainers indifferently, and then raised his brows slightly. Then fight. Phailu reminds you. 3 things to read. 254. Hand to hand. It's arrogant. Then let me see, the once famous Guangyu Dragon City is somewhat genuine. Exclamation mark. Bring the knife. Owen drank in a deep voice, and his subordinates handed Owen's broadsword to him. Smoggy, don't shoot, let me meet him. Seeing the murderous intent in Smoothie's eyes, Owen stopped him. Too much nonsense. Longcheng snorted coldly, and his figure disappeared in a flash. Preemptive strike. Since you want to fight, you have to fight the opponent to the server. So fast. This was the first reaction of everyone present. Shave. The power suddenly erupted at the feet of Longcheng, and it rushed straight towards Owen. After the system-enhanced shaving, Longcheng could move 1 kilometer away in an instant, and there was no afterimage. In the eyes of everyone, Longcheng disappeared directly in place. Whoosh! 100,000 tile Zhengchen. Owen's pupils shrank, and in the next instant, he felt a gust of wind blowing in front of him, and a huge fist suddenly came to him. Such speed. It's too late. Fist of heat. Suppressed by Longcheng's speed, Owen immediately fell into a passive position. Too late to dodge, Owen can only use the ability of the hot fruit to quickly heat his fist to extremely high temperature, straight forward, and punch. Take offense as defense. Bang! Only a muffled sound was heard, and there was a shock in the air. After a punch, the two of them had a heat wave that spread around. Owen's burly figure staggered back 2 steps, his fiery fist still bubbling, steaming white heat. On the other hand, Longcheng retreated backwards, barely stopping until more than 10 meters later to maintain stability. The ability of the hot fruit is really terrifying. Feeling the air that Owen made, fist, Duke Inuarashi exclaimed. Be careful, Your Highness. Shopkeeper of Cat Viper had a solemn expression, and Owen, Torrent, offered a reward of 300 million Bailey. In his opinion, he completely possessed the strength beyond this reward. Although I really want to go up and help, but choose an Owen duel, they can't intervene. What's more, Smoothie was watching. Who was rewarded by the Navy with a reward of 9.32 million Bailey, is the 3 dessert star of the pirates. 1. The strength is particularly terrifying. The famous Guangyu Dragon City, in addition to fast, is this the only strength? Who had stopped in the distance and looked contemptuous. If Guangyu Longcheng only has such strength, how could Katakuri be defeated by him? It must have been some kind of blind method. Until now, Owen has not fully accepted the loss of his respected brother Katakuri to him. Facts of Dragon City. Longcheng waved his slightly sore arm, and his fist was covered with a layer of iron-black domineering ability to be a hot fruit. Even if he temporarily covered his fist with armed arrogance, with the protection of armed arrogance, his fist could still feel the terrifying high temperature and the opponent's strong punching power. However, in the fight just now, Longcheng was just testing the opponent's details. Fortunately, it seems that the terrifying high temperature that the other party's hot fruit can bring, most of the heat is isolated by his own armed color domineering. In this case, you don't have to worry about the opponent's hot fruit ability. Don't be too happy, it was just a warm-up. Thinking of this, the corners of Longcheng's mouth twitched slightly, then his face froze. He raised his legs and kicked Owen with a cold air blade. Land-foot death scythe. Against Owen, Longcheng used the same trick he used against Katakuri. A black air blade with a horizontal extension of tens of meters long, wrapped in Longcheng's unique armament color domineering effect, launched from Longcheng's leg, and quickly slashed towards Owen. Black Lanjiao. Smooch paid close attention to Guangyu Longcheng, and when he saw this strange move, he showed a solemn expression. Owen saw this black air blade with a sharp edge, attacking him with a fierce momentum, and reacted quickly. Hot slash. Owen snorted coldly, held the broadsword firmly, and used the hot fruit ability to rapidly heat up the broadsword in his hand, slashing vertically toward the black air blade that reached his eyes in an instant. Clang! There was a loud crash of metal violently colliding, and the big knife in Owen's hand, braving raging flames, collided with the air blade slashing. Everyone thought that the 6th-style Navy kicking technique that Longcheng used was just an air blade after all, and it would collapse after colliding with Owen's broadsword. It was only the next moment that everyone was surprised. Smoothie, who was watching the battle, shrank even more. This black air blade, the energy has not dissipated for a long time. Owen held the big sword, the blue veins on his forehead skyrocketed, the flaming blade and the black air blade tens of meters long in the horizontal direction stubbornly offset. The harsh sound of metal scraping spread from the place where the blade and the air blade met, causing everyone's eardrums to sting. Seeing this scene, the murderous intention in Smoothie's eyes soared. With a single blade, it is possible to develop such a terrifying and bizarre power. At this moment, seeing Longcheng's shot with his own eyes, Smoji probably understood why the Navy had to conspire and design to obliterate him, regardless of his image. Such terrifying potential and strength will definitely be a formidable opponent comparable to the 4 emperors in the future. Please download Feifei to see the underlined version of the novel. 255. The ability of hot fruit. After a while, the black air blade collapsed and disintegrated. Owen's face was gloomy, and the arm holding the broadsword trembled slightly. An unnoticeable dread flashed in his eyes. How about my strength? Longcheng showed a sarcastic look, and the corner of his mouth smiled slightly. Stinky boy. Looking at Longcheng's provocative eyes in the distance, Owen was furious. The sturdy body became red, with strands of white heat emitting continuously, and Owen's eyes completely turned into fiery white. A frightening aura emanated from Owen's body, and the surrounding air became extremely hot. Owen, who has the ability to heat the fruit, can heat the designated object. When Owen is angry, he will unconsciously heat up the nearby air. Die. Owen has a hot temper and can't stand the provocation of a teenage kid. Immediately holding the big knife in one hand and clenching the fist in the other hand, the burly physique sprinted towards Longcheng, taking the initiative to attack. Hot Wind Fist. At the moment of rushing towards the Dragon City at a super high speed, Owen's fist seemed to be burnt red, a slightly white and dazzling iron block. Phew, the air around Owen was already hot, but at this time it heated up sharply again, turning into a hot wind, wrapping around the fist, and bombarding the Dragon City together with the fist. Punch! Owen gave 100% of his strength. Facing this powerful punch, Longcheng not only did not panic, but calmly wrapped his arm domineering in front of him to prevent being burned by Owen's high temperature. Iron Arm Cross. Coating. I saw Longcheng's arms crossed in front of his chest, and he concentrated his strength. Not only his arms, but also his entire chest, legs, and face were covered with a layer of sturdy and domineering armament. Boom! Owen, with a pair of white eyes and bulging blue veins on his forehead, suddenly came to Longcheng, wrapped in hot wind, and punched Longcheng with a punch. Kai! At the moment when the high-temperature fist and Longcheng's arm crossed his chest, the color-domineering coating was heated up and turned red slightly, making a chirping sound. Pung! After a short pause, a scorching wave of air oscillated from the collision between Owen and Longcheng. Under the power of this punch, even Longcheng used the iron arm cross, coating to withstand the high temperature of Owen's hot punch, and his body still retreated dozens of meters under the punch. For a time, Duke Inuarashi, the shopkeeper Cat Viper and the others just felt a gust of hot wind blowing towards their faces, making their faces scalding hot. Your Highness! Duke Inuarashi and the shopkeeper Cat Viper were shocked and shouted in unison. It was just a wave of air caused by Owen, and there was such a burning sensation even so far from here. The young master is in the center of Owen's hot fist, and the temperature can be imagined. At this time, Longcheng's chest and arms it was indeed slightly reddish. Even with the enhanced armament color domineering protection, which blocked most of the temperature, some of Owen's terrifying high temperature still passed through the armament color domineering coating and reached Longcheng's arm. As expected of a hot fruit, Longcheng felt the burning pain in his hands, and his expression sank slightly. Then he stabilized his body, turned into the form of a nine-tailed foxman, and immediately counterattacked. Land feet are messed up. Without any hesitation, Longcheng stretched out his 9 tails, and with his legs, he instantly shot hundreds of air blades towards Owen. Because the Lanjiao chaos shot out in an instant, hundreds of random air blades, each of which is far less powerful than the Lanjiao death scythe that concentrates a single force. But every chi blade is wrapped in a dark armed color domineering. Obviously, Longcheng did not intend to stop at this point. Come again. Land's feet are messed up. Shoo 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 shoo. For a time, the black air blade that covers the sky, flipped toward the Yuan. Hem. Of blazing whites, and he didn't hesitate at all. He chose to use the hot air fist, punching the air blade that was slashing at a rapid rate. How fierce! Those air blades, before reaching Owen's body, were shattered one by the air cannons driven by Owen's hot air fists. The aftermath of air shocks was transmitted from the space between the two. The burning sensation in the air is getting stronger and stronger. I still have my hands left. Seeing this scene, Longcheng showed a slightly dignified look. As expected, none of the big cadres of the Big Mom pirates can be underestimated. There must be a backer. Thinking of this, Longcheng frowned, shaving again, and the figure disappeared in place. This time, he took advantage of Owen to deal with the hundreds of black air blades, and went straight to the space behind Owen. At this moment, Longcheng is only a few meters away from Owen. Using a finger pistol at close range, only a piercing can exert its maximum power. In the meantime, Longcheng replaced his fingers with fists, and rushed towards Owen's back. Armed and domineering pointing guns shot out towards Owen, who was outside the battlefield, suddenly condensed his pupils, held his long sword violently, and swooped straight towards Longcheng. Phailu reminds you, 3 things to read. 256. Shameless sneak attack. What? Be careful, Your Highness. Duke Inuarashi and the shopkeeper of Cat Viper exclaimed in shock. Originally thought that seeing a finger gun from Longcheng, this battle would end. But the other party actually regretted the sneak attack, opened the absolute domain of domineering and easily noticed that Smoothie, who was inserted from the side, was approaching quickly, and the corner of Longcheng's mouth was slightly raised. From the very beginning, he had observed this. 3 desert generals, who was guarding the battlefield. 1. Longcheng was not surprised that she chose to take action when Owen was in crisis. I don't care whether you are singled out or not, the scourge of Guangyu Longcheng must not be left behind. Seeing that Longcheng, who had just used his finger gun, was about to be hit by his own sword, Smoothie sneered in his heart. Just the next moment, the long sword was about to slash down at the top of Longcheng's head, but it did not kill Longcheng with one blow as expected. Smoothie frowned, and the figure of the other party disappeared again. What a terrifying combat experience and reaction. Shaved. When the voice sounded again, the Dragon City had already appeared dozens of meters away. On Owen's side, he also reacted quickly under the crisis, turning around suddenly, holding the big knife in the other hand, and using the side of the blade to block his chest. Chang! One of the Dragon City's penetrations only hit Owen's blade. But at the same time, 2 of the last remaining black air blades hit Owen's back firmly. The damage that the black air blade can cause is far less than a single penetration. Owen was able to sense it in such a short period of time, and quickly weighed the pros and cons and responded, worthy of being a scorched minister who can fight well. PFF'd. 2 blood mists appeared on Owen's back where he was hit by the air blade. 2 shocking blood grooves appeared. From Longcheng's stunned feet, to Longcheng's circling to Ube, using a finger gun to penetrate, and then to Smoothie's sneak attack, Longcheng once again used shaving to avoid. Owen turned around to block the punch that was enough to penetrate the finger gun. Everything happened between the electric light and flint. It can be so fast. Guangyu Longcheng, it seems that I still underestimate you. Smoothie stood behind Owen, concealed the killing intent in his eyes, stared at Longcheng and said, Owen, this is the one-on-one you're talking about, your ant pirates, are you all so shameless? Few dozen meters away, Longcheng glanced at the half-brother and sister, and said with a playful look on his face, with a playful smile. Smoggy, what are you doing? Go back. Owen frowned and shouted at Smoothie. Although Owen's temperament is hot, he is actually quite clear. Being suddenly intervened by Smooch, this goes against his agreement with Longcheng and against his morality. Since you are going to attack me at the same time, why should you speak out and deceive, and then make a sneak attack is really shameful for you 2 brothers and sisters. Longcheng sneered, his eyes full of ridicule. Owen's eyes were full of anger, and his golden-orange hair fluttered like flames. When he was dueling with Longcheng, Smoothie's sneak attack made him feel very angry and shameless. Guangyu Longcheng, if you agree to one-on-one with you, it will be one-on-one with you. Smoothie, go back to me. Owen turned to look at Smoothie and said angrily. However, there was a flash of coldness in Smogie's eyes, and her body was already tall, which made her stare at Longcheng condescendingly, and said slowly, Guangyu Longcheng, with such strength at such a young age, it is impossible for me to do so. Let him go and make him mother's enemy. Other side, Charlotte Ralla looked at Dragon City, Owen, and Smoothie with a look of embarrassment. On one side are the good people who have helped me, and on the other side are my elder brothers and sisters. I am a little overwhelmed for a while. On the other hand, Duke Inuarashi and the shopkeeper Cat Viper glanced at Lola with bad expressions, and then ran towards Longcheng. And Caesar, Monet and Caribou 3, standing in place with Lola. Your Highness. You are ashamed. Duke Inuarashi and the shopkeeper Cat Viper stood beside Longcheng and cursed at Smoothie with eyes full of anger. It's all right. Longcheng motioned to Duke Inuarashi. Then the corners of his mouth were raised, and he continued to mock at the 2 Owen brothers and sisters. The 2 of you go together, I didn't say you can't. Feeling being looked down upon by Longcheng, Owen's eyes lit up, and he said angrily, Smoochie, if you don't step back, you will find the shocking fruit yourself in the future. Smoothie frowned slightly when he heard the words. The elder brother Katakuri, the head of the 3 generals of the desert, was injured by the dragon castle and could not be dispatched. And Keligia followed his mother and took most of the cadres to compete for Whitebeard's scattered territory. Desert 3 stars, only she was sent by her mother to compete for the Junjun fruit. This competition for the shocking fruit, the remaining 2 pirates of the 4 emperors, the Beast's pirates and the red-haired pirates will definitely send people. On her own, she was likely to fail, so she asked Owen to help. With a cold snort, Smoothie withdrew from Longcheng and Owen, and continued to watch the battle. 257. Let you know what speed is. Longcheng sneered. Shouldn't you wait for a while, you should come and attack again. Smoggy. Owen called to Smoothie. So Smoothie glanced at Longcheng and retreated towards the pirate ship to show that he was watching from a distance and would not interfere again. Longcheng signaled that Duke Inuarashi and the shopkeeper of Cat Viper also retire together. But to be honest, I don't mind if you two really want to go together. Longcheng smiled, stretched his limbs, tilted his head and said. The arrogant boy. Then I'll do my best to teach you the ability of my hot fruit. Owen seemed to be unaware of the injury on his back, his eyes glowed with an unusually bright white light, and he reached out and pointed at Longcheng, heating in the air. Finally made this move. Longcheng sneered in his heart, after fighting for so long, the other party did not use the real killer. Until now, Owen has used this trick to heat the air. Space heating is the unique ability of the hot fruit. When used by Owen, the specified object can be heated in the air to make the specified object heat up rapidly. Whether it is dead or living, it will quickly burst into flames under his heating. For most people who are not resistant to fire, the effect of this trick is particularly terrifying. Of course, some people with natural abilities, such as Ace, who can turn elements into fire, and Akainu, who has the ability of rock fruit, can turn his body into lava, are not afraid of fire, and naturally they are not afraid of Owen's fruit ability. And some people with abilities that are related to the fire attribute, such as one of the Navy's highest combat powers, the General Aokiku Kuzan, who has the ability to freeze fruit, are not afraid of hot fruit. Like the captain of the 3rd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, who has the superhuman diamond fruit ability and can turn his body into diamonds, Joe's is also not afraid of Owen's space heating. It seems that you still don't know anything about my strength, you really underestimate me. Longcheng chuckled lightly, he knew all about Owen's hot fruit ability. Shave. The figure of Longcheng disappeared again, and instantly moved to the other side of Owen. It's just that a corner of Longcheng's clothes has become a little charred. It seems to be a bit slow. Owen's space heating actually does not track objects, but instantly heats objects at a certain point in space or within a certain position range. Therefore, when Owen uses space heating, Longcheng only needs to be fast enough. If you leave the original position in time, you can escape. The moment Longcheng felt the signs of warming up his body, he immediately used Shave to move to escape. Even at the speed of Longcheng's teleportation, it was inevitable that the corners of his clothes would be heated to black. This is still the result of Longcheng's arrogance and domineering, and he sensed Owen's thoughts in advance in the absolute realm, and made preparations. Seeing that Longcheng escaped the air heating that he was almost sure to hit at an incomprehensible speed, Owen frowned. 4. Longcheng's shaving. Owen has never seen anyone in the Navy except Glittering Fruit Admiral Kizaru, who can rely on the Navy's 6th style shaving to achieve this speed. Air heating. Without hesitation, Owen used this trick again for the place where Longcheng reappeared. As long as you hit it once, Longcheng will set itself on fire, and the only water source nearby is the sea. At that time he will either set himself on fire or be deprived of his strength by the sea and let him do his own thing. It's just a surprise. Longcheng once again dodged Owen's hot fruit ability attack. In the original location of the Dragon City has become, it seems to be about to burn. Chi, is this only the trick? Suddenly, Dragon City appeared on Owen's left. 100,000 tiles and fists and 9 chaos. The next moment, Longchung's 9 fox tails, like 9 strong arms, blasted towards Owen like a storm with both hands. Bang 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 bang. A dull voice sounded, and Owen's sturdy body left a series of fist marks of the Dragon City. Before Owen could react, Longchung was another set of boxing. 100,000 Wajang fist cannons. Boom! Owen spit out a mouthful of blood, and his sturdy body was blasted out into the jungle 100 meters away. The power of the 100,000 Wajang fist is not bad. Owen's body slammed into the jungle, but he still didn't stop, and one big tree was hit by Owen. Distance, large tracts of trees were broken by the middle. Really resistant to beating. Longchung sighed, he really could eat 2 sets of his 100,000 tile Zhengchen in a row. Without the slightest hesitation, Longchung once again used his shave to chase up without giving the opponent a chance to breathe. If you want to fight, beat the opponent. A large tree fell down, and Owen, who was pressed to the ground by several tree stems, had blood dripping from the corner of his mouth. Longchung's speed is too fast. It's so fast that he can't even notice where Longchung will appear next time after shaving. He took 2 sets of tile Zhengchen from Longchung, and he is so strong as Owen. With a sturdy physique, I also feel like the bones of the whole body are about to fall apart. Let you see what speed is. The voice of Longchung resounded in Owen's ears again. Phailu reminds you, 3 things to read. 258. Ocean current. Fall over the shoulder. Looking at the 2 who disappeared into the jungle and disappeared, Duke Inuarashi and the others and Lola had worried expressions on their faces. Just when everyone looked nervously at the jungle, a roar sounded in the jungle, and then 2 figures flew out from it. 10 times, hot wind fist. I saw Longchung flying upside down in front, while Owen was topless, with red skin all over his body, chasing closely behind Longchung. Longchung's chest was slightly stuffy, and he was beaten out by Owen's hot punch just now. With Owen's light drink, a burst of airflow 10 times stronger than before gathered around his fist, raised his hand and blasted towards Longchung. In an instant, an air cannon with a terrifying high-temperature atmosphere continued to approach with a fierce momentum. Still careless. Owen, who was chasing after him with a high-spirited face, a cold light flashed in Longchung's eyes. Moonstep. Longchung raised his leg and stepped hard, and the air under his feet seemed to condense into substance. With this stagnant force, Longchung suddenly dodged. Because it is in the air, the speed of Longchung's moonsteps is not as fast as shaving, and it is able to escape the high temperature and heat wave. After chasing after each other, Longchung and Owen approached the seaside. Hide very fast. Owen frowned, and after fighting with Longchung, he didn't really use his full strength, but hid his back. The purpose is to let Longchung underestimate the enemy, and then when he is careless, he will use 10 times the high heat fist and hot wind fist with all his strength, and a set of chain punches will shoot Longchung down into the sea. Knowing that Longchung's speed is astonishing, he couldn't capture his figure with the use of space heating, and it also lost its effect on him. But if he can smash the Dragon City into the sea, Owen can use the Atami hot spring to heat the sea water to boil, so that the Dragon City is cooked alive. In this case, Atami Wanlai. Owen shouted, and directly used his killer weapon to instantly heat the temperature of the sea. The next moment, I saw the sea water surging and rolling on the shore, and dozens of high-temperature hot water columns with a thickness of several meters burst out of the sea in an instant, intertwined and shot towards Longchung. Now let's see how you hide. Owen chuckled, his eyes full of confidence. This trick is one of the strongest Atami Wanlai and one of his strongest tricks. He can lock onto the target and control the hot water column to attack anyone he wants to attack at will. 4. This point, Longchung naturally knows that every water column rising from the sea is not only terrifying in temperature, but also powerful, and can easily penetrate or even smash ships. However, this level of water column, and Longchung's mastery the Murloc Jiu-Jitsu ocean current falls over the shoulder, but it is only a small thing. Longchung sneered, Without any hesitation, he stepped on the air with one foot, and used the moon step to swept into the depths of the sea. Humph! You still dare to run to the sea, do you want to die faster? Satisfy you. It doesn't matter. No use where you hide. Owen laughed loudly, controlled the dozens of rough water columns, and chased after Longcheng. Longcheng ignored the hot water column that was chasing after him, and flew straight into the depths of the sea. After a while. Okay. Looking at the calm sea beneath his feet, Longcheng plummeted vertically downward. There is a certain range in Owen's use of hot fruit to heat seawater. Longcheng used his moon steps to sweep several kilometers into the depths of the sea, precisely to run beyond the range of the boiling and steaming seawater, and use the sea current to fall over his shoulders. And Owen would never have imagined that after the Battle of Marin Fando, Longcheng would be killed. Halu Stone has been imprisoned for a month, and he has adapted to the power of seawater and is no longer afraid of seawater. With their roots still on the shore stretched and meandered for several kilometers, chasing Longcheng closely, and suddenly fell to the sea along with Longcheng. The volume is so huge and the temperature is so high, the high water column, even if it is drilled into the icy seawater, the central temperature of the water column can still cook the enemy. It's just that the Dragon City, which has mastered the sea current and falls over the shoulder, does not need to be afraid at all. Longcheng sank into the water and felt the potential ocean currents under the calm sea, so he followed the trajectory of the ocean currents and grabbed his hands firmly. Ocean current, falling over the shoulder. I saw Longcheng emerge from the water, grab the sea water with both hands around the shoulders, and threw it fiercely. In an instant, hundreds of water streams as thick as waterfalls suddenly gushed out from the calm sea. Distance, the scene is particularly spectacular. That meandered for several kilometers, clustered like serpents, collapsed in front of hundreds of cold water currents as thick as waterfalls. Kai, the hot and cold water collided together, and the dozens of hot water columns that were shaped like serpents and stretched for several kilometers gradually collapsed, transpiring a large white mist formed by the hot air, and the entire sea gradually became white. A slice. But it wasn't over yet. As if the hundreds of cold water currents in Longcheng were not shaken at all by the impact of the hot water column, they rolled towards Owen on the shore of the island at a very high speed. How is it possible? Seeing this scene, Owen's expression changed from calm to astonishment. 259. In the palm of the hand. On the island, Duke Inuarashi, the shopkeeper cat viper, and Lola are not short distances from the coast, so there is no need to worry about being affected by the waves. But the ocean current that swept the sky and covered the sky from a distance was truly spectacular. Longcheng has not only mastered the essence of this shoulder-to-shoulder throw, which is learned from a very flat ocean current, but also developed a destructive force that is dozens of times stronger than that of an ordinary ocean current over shoulder throw. Is no exaggeration to say that any one of these hundreds of currents has the power to smash ships. And Caesar, Monet, and Caribou have never seen Longcheng use this trick. These magnificent scenes refreshed their understanding of the strength of Longcheng. There is such a terrifying strength. No wonder there are those rumors. Looking at the large ocean current, Caribou was startled. As a devil fruit person, not only is he not afraid of seawater, but he can also perform such a move that can almost overturn the sea. His strength is so terrifying, he even tried to follow him and secretly obliterate his reputation. Thinking of this, Caribou burst out, "I am afraid. I am glad that I didn't have the impulse, otherwise, let alone become famous, he doesn't even know how he died." Faced with such a huge current, Owen has no time to hide. This battle, our young master will win. Duke Inuarashi and the shopkeeper cat viper looked at Longcheng, who was full of confidence and exuded a strong aura on the sea in the distance, and they were very excited. Such a young master is the hope of their Wano country, and Caesar and Monet are complicated in their hearts. Even if they have their own plans with Longcheng, and they are not loyal, they have to be afraid of Longcheng. The waters that landed on the shore were originally calm, but due to the heating of Owen's hot fruit, it was boiling hot. At this time, the ocean currents from the depths of the sea swept in, making the sea even more agitated. In the distance on the other side of the coastline, several pirate ships moored on the shore were shaken, and the huge pirate ships swayed like floating duckweed. Damn Guangyu Dragon City. Smoothie stood on the deck of one of the ships, looking at the oncoming high, hundreds of currents nearly 100 meters, his face suddenly gloomy. This move of Guangyu Longcheng is obviously also aimed at her, Shaluo Si Muji. Sensing the gloomy and cold cast by Smoothie, Longcheng, who came by the waves, just smiled playfully. Smoothie couldn't figure out why the rumored Guangyu Longcheng was clearly a devil fruit person, and in the battle with Owen just now, he had already exposed a foxtail in the form of a human and beast to attack, but he could touch the ocean, even like a duck in water. To be able to make the jujitsu that fishermen know, and make waves. But I didn't have time to think about it. The extremely spectacular ocean current was approaching fast, and if I didn't escape from the shore, wait for the hundreds of waves of ocean currents to beat down, not only all the oceans the pirate ship will be smashed to pieces, and she and Owen will be swept into the sea by the current. As devil fruit people, they will all be buried in the sea. Smoothie suddenly jumped off the deck and jumped to the shore. The most urgent task is, before the current arrives, quickly escape from the coast and approach the high terrain of the island. Don't run, Owen. Do you want to drown? Smoothie sullenly ran towards the back of the island while shouting at Owen, who seemed to be trying to use a Tommy again to fight the current. Damn. Owen cursed bitterly towards Longcheng, who came by the wind and waves. The hot water column rolled up by Irving's killer Atami Wanlai was completely reduced to a joke, and Owen's heart was full of anger and unwillingness. Seeing Smoothie shouting at him and fleeing backwards, Owen also realized that no amount of hot water jets he could use to defeat those currents. Unwilling he was, Owen gave up the confrontation, turned to the back, and ran to the higher ground with Smoothie. But the currents are black, and they will rush to the shore in an instant, and they are not sure that they will be able to escape to a safe place before the currents arrive. Damn, giant form. With a gloomy face and a soft cry, Smoothie was also very anxious, directly urging her superhuman ability to squeeze fruit and absorb water from the surrounding environment. A large number of water droplets floating on the sea surface in the jungle in the distance, rushing towards Smoothie. Boom! Another tree in the jungle in the distance fell down because it lost moisture and dried up. Side of Smoothie, while running, his body continued to grow larger while absorbing the water that had gathered. Until Smoothie turned into a huge giant form 20 or 30 meters high, he bent down and grabbed Owen, and ran with Owen to the distance. But in the face of hundreds of ocean currents with a height of more than 100 meters, even if Smoothie turned into a giant form, it would not help. But at this moment, Smoothie and Owen could only try their best to escape, and did not dare to stop for a moment. Your Highness, drown them. You dare to attack Your Highness, you must suffer. Seeing this scene, Duke Inulan and the shopkeeper Cat Viper sneered and shouted towards Longcheng, who was riding in the waves in the distance, looked blankly at Smoothie running on the bank ahead. Everything is in his palm. Phailu reminds you, 3 things to read. 260. Lola's request. If the main force of the Big Mom pirates is dispatched to this sea area in the windless belt to compete for the shock fruit, or if Big Mom comes in person, Longcheng will not rashly appear in front of them and have a conflict with them. What's more, Longcheng already knows that there is no shaking fruit on this island. But Longcheng still took the initiative to confront Owen, because he opened the absolute field, and knew from the thoughts of Owen, Smoothie and others that Auntie did not come. And this time, the cadres sent by the Ant to find the Junjun fruit are only Owen, Smoothie and Lola, and there are no other cadres in the surrounding sea area. Then Longcheng can safely fight with Owen and Smoothie. The current Dragon City is not strong enough to be tough with the 4 emperors. Dragon City chose to take the initiative to provoke Owen and Smoothie, in fact, to let them know the reason why he broke into Torrent, so as to ease the Big Mom pirates a little bit. Hostility and anger towards him. Other hand, Longcheng also has the idea of showing his strength to the Big Mom pirates. Even if he can't be tough with the Big Mom pirates, he is not afraid of conflict with them. Longcheng is. The people of the pirate group were somewhat jealous and cautious about him. The brown minister Owen, who has the ability to heat the fruit, and Smoji, one of the 3 dessert generals who have the ability to squeeze the fruit, have a combined bounty of 1.3 billion Bailey, which is not to be underestimated by any pirate group. Considerable combat power. Owen is fine, but with the ability to squeeze fruit. Smoothie, who can squeeze the water out of the opponent's body and make him dry and die, is more troublesome, and even Longcheng has no good countermeasures in the face of this ability. Since I have read the original book and know that Owen's hot fruit ability is to heat objects to attack, as long as he relies on super high-speed shaving and moon steps, Longcheng can avoid Owen's space heating. Even against Owen's other trump card, Atami Wanlai, Longcheng has a stronger Murloc Jiu-Jitsu Sea Current to fall over his shoulders, so he has an advantage against Owen against Longcheng. It is precisely because of this analysis that Longcheng planned everything from the beginning. First, the words provoke the hot-tempered Owen, and at the same time let Owen know that the reason why he broke into Torrent is to save his imprisoned cousin Momonosuke. Owen is also a person who is right and wrong, so after weighing it, he will choose a relatively fair heads-up with Longcheng. This way, Longcheng avoids direct and more troublesome actions. Step by step to test Owen's strength. If there are words and provocations, they are all Dragon City plans. In order to force Owen to use this trick, so that he can run to the surface of the sea without making Smooch suspicious, so that he can fall over his shoulders and solve Owen and Muji at the same time. Of course, Longcheng didn't want to kill Owen and Smooch. Such words would be equivalent to tearing his face with Auntie completely, which was contrary to his original intention. Moreover, Longcheng and Lola had a good relationship, and he didn't want to face it. Lola's siblings do it. At this moment, the most anxious person was indeed Lola, who was watching with Duka Nuarashi and others from the high terrain of the island. On one side are his brothers and sisters, and on the other side is Guangyu Longcheng, a good man who helped him. It seems that it is wrong to help either. Now both Owen and Smoothie are in danger, but it is Owen himself who proposed to fight the good guy, which makes her feel very embarrassed. Looking at Smoothie and Owen running wildly on the shore, the coastline is getting more and more. With the approaching 100-meter current and the Dragon City, Lola's face is full of worry, and she walks back and forth with her hands clenched. The end, Lola was still uneasy, and she shouted anxiously to Longcheng far above the waves, "Guangyu Longcheng." Hearing Lola's shout, Longcheng looked at Lola. Seeing that Longcheng noticed him, Lola then asked loudly, "Can you beat the current back? If this goes on, my brother will be drowned." Longcheng was stunned for a moment, and couldn't help but smile. Charlotte Rala is still relatively simple, since Rala asked, "Let Owen and Smoothie be spared." Longcheng looked at Smoothie running below, and Smoothie Owen also heard Lola's request to Longcheng. Feeling the gaze of Dragon City on the waves behind their heads, Smooch and Owen both felt a burst of embarrassment. Originally they wanted to clean up this arrogant Guangyu Dragon City with confidence, but now they were suppressed by the other party, and their faces were all lost. Longcheng's mouth chuckled, and then he dived into the sea from the top of the current. Since the seawater heated by Owen has been washed away by the currents that are swept further away, the feeling of scorching heat is no longer there. The current falls over the shoulder. Longcheng grabbed the ocean current with both hands, and went around his shoulders. A fierce shot, but this time, Longcheng cast the ocean current in the opposite direction and fell over his shoulders. The coast, there are hundreds of thick waterfall-like currents rising into the sky from the turbulent sea and rolling out towards the coast. Boom! The next moment, there was a loud noise on the sea, and 2 ocean currents, one positive and one negative, collided with each other, collided and cancelled each other out, and the overwhelming water droplets collapsed and fell on the island.